So hello traders, welcome back to another episode of How I Made, How I Lost. So in this episode, you can see I'm not alone. I'm joined by one of our alumni students who's going to introduce himself and share his trading experience. So I decided to invite him to join me over for this How I Made, How I Lost, because we've been taking up a challenge almost similarly at the same time, trading almost the same prop firm. We started the challenge I think last year around October, November. Yeah, end of November there, start of December, that's when we started the challenge. So we've been trading now for around 2 or 3 months. We took December, January, February, and now we're in March, around 3 months, and we've managed, both of us. So he's passed phase 1 of the 200k Alpha Capital group, and I've also done 100k for 4 traders, which is a prop firm in Dubai, and 200k for the same prop firm Alpha Capital group. So we're going to share with you our experience passing that phase 1. We're currently in phase 2, working also to pass phase 2, and probably also, God willing, if we pass phase 2, we shall come back and do another video. So we're going to take you through the trades that we took, the trading experience, managing the fluctuations, going up as high as 6-7%, coming back down to 3%, and struggling all the way to get to 8%, which is where you pass the challenge and you go into the next phase. And then Leroy will also take you through his trades, and we shall stop there. But you could probably introduce yourself first.
Yeah, thank you. I go by Leroy Ikuze, Burundian by birth. I'm a student, full-time student here in Kenya at Africa International University, pursuing a bachelor degree in the science of accounting and financial management, and currently in my last year. And apart from that, I'm also a part-time trader as well as part-time musician, if I may say.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
How long have you been trading?
I've been trading for the past, I believe this will be my 3rd year since 2021 and 2021. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, you've heard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, open up the different platforms, and take you through the different accounts that we're talking about. Then later we'll do the same, and we'll close it at that. It's not a very long video, just a short video where we share with you the trades we're taking, the process we're using for us to be able to crush some of these goals. So let's go down to the charts. Hello traders, I'm Ken, founder of Financial Hub. I'm here to invite you for the next Project FX Bootcamp, our prop firm masterclass, which will take place between the 4th of April and the 6th of April. So every end month we'll be running one bootcamp to train you on how to trade props. We'll be talking about how to get funded, how to diversify across props, how to position size, the psychology of props, how to manage drawdowns, all basic elements that lead to successful prop trading. Been trading props now for around 2 years, gained some experience, and you're ready to share that experience with you in a 3-day bootcamp. So if you're interested, enroll, reach out to us, and we'll give you more information. Peace. So if you look at my phase 1, so you can see this was my account for phase 1. Total P&L that was attained was about $8,000, 884, not 884, $8,000 I had about profit factor of about 1.77. That means my average losing trade was about 568. My average winning trade was about 1200. So I was making double the amount of money that I was losing. My win rate sits at about 44, and my loss rate sits at around 19. So for this particular account, I'd gone up all the way to passing the challenge. Then I came back down. Then I had to go back all the way because at some particular point when I was trading, my accounts were linked, so I couldn't be able to close some positions. So if you come here, you'll see the trades that I was taking. Probably I could start from December, yeah. So you can see in November when we started trading, around 24th there, $2,000. I had a loss of 600, 100, then I had $1,900 and $4,000. So if you think about 4,000 plus 2K plus another 2K, I was close to about 7%. Then I went down after losing this 1.3%. Came December was not as good. So I had a loss again. No, this is actually November. So yeah, December starts here. So in December I lost about 982, 479, then I lost 180, 800, 800 again, and 1800 as a win. So you can see in December I was not trading that much. I had about 4 positions. It's a month of a holiday, so you take your time off. In January I came back, had about 4 executions again. Majority were losers, 1 winning trade only, so January was quite tough. February was when I did exceptionally well. I had about $2,000 and about $4,500 from 2 positions, which was taking place last week. Not last week, the last week of February, about 22nd, meaning that I passed the challenge. And now we're in March, and you can see I haven't traded this account in March. So currently I'm in phase 2, and on phase 2 I was up last week. Then I did some very terrible mistake, which I'm also going to be quite open around. So you can see in March I started quite well, had about $130, then I had a loss of 900, then I had 2 wins where I made about 3%, 1,000 and another 1.8%. But then I gave back all of that in a 3% loss. Why? Because I was really trying to pass very, very quickly. So I saw some good opportunities and decided to take up some full risk. I ended up losing 3%, which is not an ideal amount to lose, especially on the prop firm side. But I lost that because I was up, so I was willing to play with the gains that I had, which is not a good thing. You shouldn't do that. And you can see the markets will consistently remind you that. So that was my experience. The trades that I took here were quite similar to the trades that I took on the other 200k accounts. So I won't go to that account. Leroy will go through his. But you're going to see how it's important to note down some of the mistakes that you're making also as you're growing, because if you observe, what I was basically doing was I was taking these trades. So if I come back down to look at the trades that I specifically took, let me just open my, so this is not my journal. I want to go through my journal. So I'll just go through the trades that I took in February. I think I did a video in January highlighting where I was, and I went through the trades that I was taking in January. So you can go and watch that video. I was talking about how I was in a drawdown and how I was strategizing on how to come back up. But you can check out some of the trades that I took in February. In February, I also never had very many trades. I had very, very minimal trades. In fact, I think I had 5 or 6 trades in February, about 3 winning trades and about 3 losing trades. But the winners had a very, very good risk-reward relationship, and I ended up doing quite well in February. So a very, very beautiful month, allowing me to pass. Now my target is to pass at least this phase 2 before end of March, latest mid-April. I don't like staying in phase 2 that long because I believe the 5% mark is quite minimal, so you should be able to attain it quite quickly. So let me just look at my trades, then I'll pass it on to Leroy, because I'm sure you're more interested actually in his trading than mine. I think you guys have a clear understanding of how I trade, but for him probably not. So you'll see also the positions that he's taking. So you can see week 1, no position in February. I didn't trade week 1. And nowadays I've developed that habit. I think for the last 3 months, this is basically the whole quarter of this year, I've had 1 week where each month I didn't trade. In January it was the first week. In February it was the first week. In March it's been this week. I have only taken a position today in London. It's a very small position, so I don't consider this week a week that I traded much. So looking at gold shorts, like I was saying, so I had 1 gold short based on a very beautiful idea. This one has actually dropped significantly lower after inflation numbers came out. So this was the position. So you can see I was basically looking for a move back to 2000. So this was the last leg down before the significant rally that we've seen on gold, taking it from about 2000 to trade as high as 2200 level, a very, very sharp momentum rally to the upside. So this was a drop from about 2025 all the way to the 2000 level. Made some money on that one. Decided to go on to the next week without trading. In the second week, I had 1 US 100 longs, which ended up as a loser. It was a good trade, but just ended up losing. This was a very good trade, ideally. but it ended up losing, and you can see I was very quick to realize that this was a losing position and to liquidate it. So I liquidated it after that loss. Then I had February, I had the trade number 3, which was GBP USD longs. I think this one's also worked quite well. Yeah, so I remember this GBP USD longs worked quite well. So the trade idea was based on this move to the upside. You can see markets significantly rallying to my upside. My targets were well attained on this one. R2, very beautiful trade, very good risk reward ratio, so a very good trade. Then I had trade number 4, which was US 100 shots. This one was a bad trade, an impulsive one, in fact. I remember even noting down that I don't feel comfortable taking this trade. However, I'm trying my chance. And when you try, markets tell you shouldn't try. So you can see straight up to a loss. And then I had my final trades when I took some Euro USD longs. I think this one's worked, but didn't work fully. It worked partly, then it reversed. So I was able to come out of this position before the reversal. Yeah, so you can see this one worked, got there, then it started coming back lower. So markets were here. You can see I was noting down what was happening on price before price started declining lower. And then I had my final position on USD card shorts where I lost money. I don't normally trade USD card, but I found myself trading it and I ended up losing money. Again, a reminder that impulsive decision making does not work in the long run in trading. Because if you look at your journal, you'll realize those are the positions that end up losing you money. So you can see that trade also didn't work out quite well. Instead, we got a move to the upside. But the collapse later came along. I think the following week we had a very good collapse, but unfortunately I'd already lost money. So those are the trades that I took. Still following my checklist, still learning, still growing. And I'll now pass it on to Leroy to share with you also some of the positions he took for him to pass the challenge.
As you just said, I started trading this challenge back in November, I think toward the end, I believe 22nd, 23rd. And I had managed to pass the challenge in February, toward the end of February. That's like 3 months typically. And part of the trades I took, you can see here that I passed the challenge with around 9.5%, which was more than what was required, since we are required to make 8% on the first phase. And yeah, as you can see, my winning rate is quite low, which is something I'm still trying to improve on. And just to mention, I'm trading the same system that Ken is trading. So yeah, I had a total of 42 trades, and my average risk reward, as you can see, is 1:3.67. So which I believe is a good indicator. Yeah, so in the month of November, since I started this challenge a bit toward the end of the month of November, I had a total of 3 trades, which 2 of them were winning, one was a loser on gold, and then the following month I had a total of 7 trades. Yeah, which part of them 3 were winners and 4 were losers. Yeah, that's actually, if I may say, a good indicator that I have more losers than more winners, and I think it has to do with my winning rate and the risk reward ratio as well. So it's quite something I'm still trying to improve on as I develop my career. So in the following month, I had, at the beginning of this year, I had 6 trades, a total of 6 trades, which part of them 3 were winners and 4 Actually, I had 7 trades. 3 were winners and 4 were losers. Still the same scenario. And as you can see, I had the first one, the first week of the year, which was on gold, lost about a percentage, half a percentage, and then waited for like 2 weeks to get the following trade, which was on Euro USD, and the same week had another one on JPB USD. So the Euro USD was a winner and the JPB USD was a loser. Yeah, I made around, on the Euro USD, I made around 1.6%, and on the pound USD, I lost about 1.7%. Yeah. And the following week, as you can see, the start here, had a one on gold, lost it, another one on GU and EU, which on the GU one actually was a good setup as I will go through the trades I took. And the following one on the Euro USD, actually it was an impulsive trade. This one had to do with my psychological mental skills that I'm still trying to work and improve on. So I ended up exiting the trade, though I might have been right on the direction of the price. But since I wasn't really following my setup and it was completely out of the parameters or the risk parameters that I trade within my system. So I ended up closing the trade with a profit of $109. And then the last week of February, I had one trade, which was on US 30. I lost about close to half of a percentage. That was January, excuse. And the following month, February, actually, I was quite active. I was kind of over trading, trying to pass the challenge. And yeah, I had a total of 9 trades. 9 trades, which 4 of them were winners, and I had a total of 8 trades, 4 winners and 4 losers. The first week of Feb, I had like 2 trades, which on GU was a winning one. On EU, I think it was still the impulsive trade that I had in the past month, the past week of January. And the US 30 now that I was just talking about. Now coming the mid-Feb, I had 2 trades of one on gold, another one on Euro USD. The one on gold, I made around $6,230, which is like 3.1% of the capital. And then on Euro USD, I lost around $1,020, which is around 0.5% of the world capital. And then the following week, I had 3 trades, which one was on the NASDAQ 100. I lost around 0.75% of the capital. And then on the gold, I had a trade, made around 3,000 and 7,079, as you can see. 3,779, as you can see, yeah, which is quite around 1.65%. And then to close up the challenge, I had one last one on GU, which was which was a long trade actually. I made around 4,525, which is around 2.5%. Yeah. And yeah, basically I think this was my last trade before passing up the challenge. As I just come back here, yeah, so in total I had a total of 42 trades. Some were winners, some were losers, but I believe the big percentage of those trades were losers, but which is, I believe, a good indicator of my risk-reward ratio of the system I'm using, as well as the risk parameters as well. Yep. Thanks. Going through the trades now, as I mentioned, the first one I had was on US 100. This one, I had the short trade on this one. And as you can see, some of the parameters or the elements of my system were ticked in. I was just waiting for the price reaction around this area here. But now looking at the reaction of the price action around the major level of 16,000, I quickly changed my approach due to the fact that price was not really breaking through this or rejecting this major level for me to see that there is a momentum of sellers coming in the market. So I quickly changed my bias and took a long trade, which actually I had a good and clean setup on this. You can see the first bounce, second bounce, and third bounce for me to take up on the trade. I took the trade and ended up making 1.7% on this trade, which I believe was my first winning trade. And going through to the second trade I had, I think it was on gold. 2nd December. Yeah, on gold, I had this clear setup on gold, which was a long setup, and all the requirements of my system were met. So position side myself, good risk reward ratio, but ended up losing up the trade, part of the game of the business, you know, because you can still have a clear setup, everything is met, but you know, markets are markets, still lose up the trade. Yeah, so as you can see, I ended up losing the trade with a loss of 0.42% around. Yeah, so this was my second trade, which was a loser. And going through the third one, which was on 29th December, toward the end of the last year. As you can see, I had a clear setup. Yeah, all the elements of my system were met. First bounce, second bounce, third bounce, first rejection of the key level, you know, and ended up actually taking up the trade. And there is something particular with this trade because some of the elements were quite outside the elements of my usual system, or you know, the one I'm used to trade to, because as you can see, the entry price was quite sitting around the R1, and the R1 level, which is quite a bit outside of my system, because all my system has to, since they have to sit around the P level and the quarter level. So it was an impulsive trade. I was to stay out of this trade, but because of some psychological weaknesses that most of the traders come up with or go along with, so I was kind of trying to fight with this. So I ended up taking the trade, which was actually a loser. And of course, it shows some things to do with, you know, not being disciplined, you know, following your trade and your system to the core through. Yeah. So the fourth one I believe I had was, I'm just taking through the trade I had on gold, all the trades I had on gold during the past 3 months, sorry. So on 13th Feb, I had a good and clear setup on gold, which had most of my, which had ticked most of my elements of my system. It was a short setup. As you can see here, price came a bit, rejected the quarter level since it was kind of slowing down its momentum and failed to break this structure here. So I ended up taking up the trade, which was quite good one, since actually we had some news, some financial news coming in the market. So this was, I believe, before the rally of gold, and yeah, I took advantage of this move and made up around 3%. which was around, I think I made around $6,200 around there. Yeah, and the following one on gold will be this one, I believe the next week, which was bank holiday. This was on Monday, I believe, the time the market was opening up, and I had a clear setup. Actually, first bounce, second bounce, and third bounce. But this one, there was quite some similarities or a bit of divergences compared to my system, because as you can see, the entry price here was quite sitting a bit far from the fair value and a bit close to the resistance number one, the R1. So I ended up taking the trade, though this actually was mainly related to the psychological processes I'm still, working on, because I believe having one of your elements in your system not ticking in or not being met should just be a very enough and good reason for you to stay out of that trade. But I didn't follow that up, unfortunately, and ended up taking the trade. And actually, I exited the trade since I realized that I was not following my system, and some of the elements of my system were not met. So I exited the trade and lost about 0.10%. This was due. Actually, the main reason that I took out the trade was the fear of missing out. I believe these are the problems or challenges that all the new buyers or developing new traders that go through. So yeah, on gold, I believe that was all. Talking of US 30, I believe I had one trade on it and ended up losing. It was a loser because, first of all, the price, as you can see, there was the first bounce, second bounce, and third bounce, which was not clear. This was not a very clear setup, because for a second bounce to be valid, it has to create a new low, and on the way going out to create the third bounce. So this was a kind of, actually I should not have taken this trade, since there wasn't a trade actually, there wasn't any setup. So I ended up taking up the trade and lost about 0.37% on it, and exited because it was quite out of the normal risk parameters that I trade. So going through the GU, I will first start with this first trade I had on 4th December, which was a long setup, a very good one. Had the first bounce, second bounce, third bounce, but now the entry price was quite a bit far, looking at the third bounce where it should have happened. And so I ended up taking up the trade, of course, and as you can see, reached about a percentage of my capital. No, I risked about 3/4 of percentage of my capital, and at the same time lost the trade because one of my elements, of course, I should have stayed in this trade, out of this trade actually, but initially because of the fear of missing out and the sentiment of having this conviction or feelings like markets are moving this way, I ended up taking the trade and lost about 0.86% on this one. And the second one I had was on 24th December. Yeah, and actually this one, it's an interesting one. Markets were moving in a range. We can see we had the range, a very, very sharp range here, touching up the up and coming down to the bottom, directly going up to the up. Now, on the way coming down, markets were creating a sort of support here, you know, market failing to make new lows, and of course making to make new highs as well. As you can see, this confluence zone here, a demand zone which was quite being resistive and all. So ended up taking up 3 trades. The first trade, as you can see here, the first trade was, this was the price, the entry price, these are the entry price, and these are the risks associated with each trade I took. And I ended up actually losing the trade. This was a early entry. I was right, since I was right on the direction of the trend, but I entered early, you know. So because of that, I ended up losing around 1.73% on this, both on the 3 trades, and then changed up my narrative around this market, because markets was highly failing to make new highs, you know, just to confirm that market sellers are still in control, you know. And so I ended up changing my narrative as buyers were coming in, you know, they were like rejecting this price, this zone, confluence zone here. And so I ended up taking the trade and adjusting my entry price and my risk reward as well. As you can see here, this was the right setup actually. It had a good risk reward of 1:3.5. So I ended up taking up the trade here and made up this trade actually played that well. So I made around, I believe, 3,000, 7,000 around this on this one. So, and actually a lesson to be learned that, you know, to have that patience of the market, you know, always wait for the price to do its thing, if I may say, yeah. So this was the second trade I had on GU. Going to the third one. I think this was the one I was talking about, because this one, on the one I had on 24th, is the one that I missed the exact entry price, you know, entry levels, you know. And then I ended up taking the same trade the following week, which was on 31st. And then this was the successful follow through of the setup, which I made around 1.15% of the capital. And I remember here I reached around 0.5%, since I believe I was down a bit in my prop firm performances. So yeah, some of the things that you get to work on is to keep adjusting your risk as your capital, you know, keep fluctuating. Yeah, so the following trade I had was on GU still, 20th Feb. This was the trade I was talking about, the one that actually helped me pass the challenge. And as you can see, we had a clear setup, clear long setup on GU, and had a good risk reward, 1:26. Took up the trade and made around 6.16%. Actually, I took 3 trades and of 1% risk each, so which is like I made around 2% on each, so which totals the total of 6.16%. Yeah. So as I go through to the next pair that I trade, which is the US 100. The first trade that I have, I believe, was in the week of February. No, in the week of December. And this was the trade. It was a short setup. Actually, there was no setup at all. But I ended up changing my narrative, my view of the market, depending on the reaction of the price action around this major level. So I ended up changing my narrative and took a long trade. Actually played that well, successful follow through of this one, made around 1.7%. I had 0.5% risk, so I made around 1.7%, which is like good risk reward of 1:2 at least. So yeah, on this, I think this one and the following one I had was on 2nd January on US 30. As you can see, clear setup, first, second bounce, third bounce, but the entry price now kind of sitting in the middle of the fair value and the support number 1. So I was actually supposed to stay out of this trade since one of the elements was not being met, you know. So, but because of some psychological issues, ended up taking up the trade, which had a good risk reward ratio of 1:3, and ended up losing around 0.46%. I had 0.5% risk here. So it was kind of a tricky trade because in fact, there was not supposed to be any trade, but I took it anyway because I felt like, you know, having this fear of missing out and these psychological challenges that everyone is having in his beginning or at his earlier stage, you know. This one I had a trade, clear setup actually on Monday, 19th February, which was a bank holiday in the US, and I had a clear long setup on this and took the trade, exited the trade actually with loss of 0.40% down. And this one, I won't say much about it because first of all, it was a good trade, a good setup, you know, 1, 2, third bounce, but now as prices was rejecting this major level, which was a clear indication that, you know, prices are no longer moving upside but are changing direction. So I didn't pay much attention at this reaction of the price around this level, so ended up losing up the trade. Yeah, part of the business or part of the game. And I believe that was all on US Nasdaq 100 or US 100. So the last pair I'm gonna take through is the Euro USD because I trade 5 pairs, being the Euro USD, the GU, the gold, and 2 indexes, the US 100 and the US 30. So those totaling 5. So on Euro USD, I had my first trade, I believe, around in December, sometimes around December, which was a short setup, good one. First, as you can see, some of my elements of my setups were met, but I ended up actually losing this trade because I didn't pay much attention on the higher time frame, because as you can see, as price were approaching this quarter level here, there was a slow momentum, you know, price kind of highly rejecting this quarter level here. So I ended up taking a short, but which on the higher time frame I was completely wrong on the direction of the trend, because we had the long trend, we were in a long uptrend, and so ended up losing this one with a risk of with a loss of 0.25%. Yeah, and the following one was in February, I believe, which was the Wednesday. This one, as you can see, had clear setup, a very clear and good setup. As you can see, the first bounce, second bounce, creating new lows. And as the price was approaching the third bounce, and because of the some of the psychological challenges still there, I ended up taking up the trade and not waiting for the price action to do its thing, you know. Sometimes the market will just show you that what you need is just patience, you know. You just need to wait and strictly wait for your setup to come and take up the trade when the setup is clear. So as you can see here, I took up the trade a bit earlier due to the fear of missing out on the trade. and because of that, I actually exited the trade because some of the elements of my system were not, met or properly met. So I ended up exiting the trade with a loss of around, I think I lost around a percentage or 0.75%, if I may recall well. So yeah, since I wasn't following my system, as you can see, my stop loss was completely far from the initial stop loss I should have. So it was kind of a bit out of the context completely. So I ended up losing the trade. The following week, I believe I had a trade on Euro USD, same, and I think it was the same trade, but how it played out actually, this was the way. As I was saying, this was the follow through of it. So I lost about 0.33% on it and exited the trade as soon as I realized that this was completely out of my normal or usual system that I trade. So yeah, the following trade I had was on Euro USD still, and I think we've gone through this one. Yeah, toward the beginning of this year, I had a short trade on Euro USD, which was a clear setup, fast bounce, new low, new lower low, new lower high, and creating new lower low. And as prices was approaching to make its third bounce, you can see a bit of rejection around this half quarter level here, and which was a kind of a sign for me to be keen and watch this market as the price reaction reacts around this level. And as you can see, price strongly rejected this half quarter level, and I ended up taking up the trade actually. And this was a good setup, good follow through, and made up around 1.61%. I actually exited this trade a bit early because I remember as prices was forming this candlestick here, I was like, prices are going to reverse and go back to the initial fair value, but I ended up exiting the trade, which was something that, part of the trading challenges that I'm still working on, And so it was a good, successful follow through of the system, of the setup as well. So yeah, I ended up taking up the trade, making around 1.61% of the trade. And then the following one, I had one during the last week of January, which was, I believe this is the same one. It's just that it took a bit longer to complete and all. So yeah, as I was saying, it was a successful follow through of the trade, reached around 0.5%, yeah, and made around 1.16%. So you can understand that there was a good risk reward ratio there. Yeah, so basically that's it. I had a total of 42 trades. Part of quite a number were losers, the other number were winners. And yeah, I still have a lot to work on, especially the psychological part of trading, developing strong mental skills that will help you, follow through your system and your edge. Yes, if I may say. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and yeah, let's wait and see how the phase 2 is doing. I'm currently down 3.7% on phase 2, and looking forward, of course, to pass the phase, and waiting for as new opportunities come up in the market. Yep.
So yes, guys, as you've heard from Leroy, we've taken you through some of the trades that we were taking, some of the positions we were trading. I hope you've learned something. Leroy joined us sometime last year, and you can see he's developed that fast to a point where he's taking trades, he's managing risks efficiently, he's passing challenges, and it's been done by other students too. It's not only Leroy who's done it. It shows that you can learn how to trade, and if you dedicate yourself and you're committed and you give yourself time, you can start seeing some progress, some level of success. So we'll stop there for today. We'll catch up on the next video. Hopefully we'll do another one, probably all the way to getting payouts. We'd love you to see students also getting payouts and getting to that level where they can monetize their skill. But it takes time, and we're willing to share with you the process so that you can learn 1 or 2 things from us. So with that said, we'll catch up next time. If you're interested in learning how to trade props, the prop farm masterclass, you can join us. We have one running from 4th to 6th. We share all nuggets about trading prop farms, how to manage risk, how to ensure you don't go through the daily drawdown, because I'm really proud of what he's doing. He's not gone through the daily drawdown. Most people lose it there. He's managed his risk quite efficiently. His risk-reward relationship amazing. With a 38% hit rate, you're still able to deliver 10%. It shows that you can do this. So with that said, we'll catch up next time. See you guys later.